Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Charlie Rowan here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. This is part 2 to the deep dive of One for All, so if you haven't watched part 1, go do that. Now the last part of this deep dive ended where some of Class 1A rescued Bakugo from the League of Villains. As well, All Might completely loses the remnants of One for All, but he captures All for One. The quirk itself could only be used well at 5% by the new user Midoriya. If he used 100%, he breaks his bones, trying to train his body quickly so he might be able to step up into the huge gap left from All Might. After a couple of weeks of resting after all the awful things the class has gone through, they move into dorms at UA and start making some super moves. Midoriya changes his style of fighting from fist to legs, calling it shoot style. He does this because of the concern for his arms, because he could lose movement in them from a large enough use of One for All. Midoriya also improves his costume with the aid of the support course, adding iron soles that will let him kick twice in a row, also adding arm supporters that will lessen the strain of them. After he and his classmates make their super moves, they go to the tryouts for getting their provisional hero licenses. The test they have to do is one where they have to get 3 other contestants' targets hit, sort of like dodgeball, also having another confrontation with a member of the League of Villains. After this, they have to go around rescuing people. It actually is a bunch of officials that grade their rescuing. They throw furthermore obstacles into the challenge, having Gang Orca pretend to be villains, where the contestants have to defend the people they have saved. Midoriya would have defeated the boss of the Gang Orca if the timer hadn't gone off, ending the exercise. Most of the class is able to get the license, only having 2 members of the class not obtaining them, that being Bakugo and Todoroki. With this license, those who have it are able to do hero work if needed, not having to get a pro hero's permission to act anymore. This leads to another confrontation between Midoriya and Bakugo. That leads to Midoriya being able to up his limit of One for All to 8%, as well as having Bakugo learn the secret of One for All's existence. Midoriya and Bakugo get a couple days in-school suspension, or ISS. Shortly after their ISS, the class starts their work studies where Midoriya goes under the tutelage of Sir Night-Eye, All Might's old sidekick. Learning that if Midoriya hadn't met All Might, a fellow UA student named Miro would have been given One for All. After this, Sir Night-Eye's hero agencies team up with some other agencies to take down Overhaul and his mafia, which is one of the last ones to remain after the emergence of heroes. Immobilizing quickly with the other heroes after learning they are developing a drug to destroy quirks and to save a little girl named Eri, who was hurt by Overhaul and his men. This leads to a confrontation with him and his men, where one of them messes with the underground area they need to go through to get to Eri. This leads to Miro rushing forward without the others, not wanting to let them escape. They slowly make their way to where Eri and Miro are, splitting off from some members who have to fight some of the villains meant to hold them off. This leads to another confrontation with the League of Villains, who had to team up with Overhaul. After their roadblock, it leads to a fight between Overhaul and Midoriya, where with Eri's help, Midoriya is able to use 100% of One for All. He's able to do this because Eri's quirk rewinds someone to a previous state, rewinding his broken bones before he even feels the pain, saving Eri and getting the bullets that Overhaul had made to destroy people's quirks. Although before they could be brought to a secure place, the League of Villains steals the bullets, leaving Overhaul. This raid got what they were looking for, but they lost things, as well as Miro's quirk. Sir Night-Eye died, not before seeing that his quirk Foresight can be wrong. We know this because he foresaw Midoriya dying on the operating table. After this, a couple of weeks to a month later, Midoriya is training with All Might, showing him an upgrade to his suit, gauntlets that would more easily let Midoriya shoot air pressure. Also, the UA School Festival starts. When Midoriya quickly runs to the store, of course he runs into 2 villains who want to attack UA. He fights them, even beating them after they used all of their power, saying after the fact that it was the most challenging fight he has had. After this, we see Midoriya a couple of weeks later after a massive fight between Endeavor, Hawks, and Anomu. We see Midoriya at the end of that day passing out into a dreamlike sequence of what happened to him during the sports festival, but much more precise than before. In this dream, he sees the past users of One for All, also a confrontation between All for One and his brother, the original user of One for All, as well as the creation of One for All itself. Then being talked to by the original user, saying how he wanted to show him more but couldn't because Midoriya could only handle 20% of the quirk's power. Midoriya and All Might talk about how the will of the past users must somehow be saved inside of the quirk as a sort of remnant. After their chat, they go to a joint training exercise between Class 1A and Class 1B, where they fight one another. At the start of the battle between classes that Midoriya is a part of, it zooms in on All For One saying, "I hear the voice of my younger brother." During the fight, this black substance starts to come out of Midoriya that he can't control at all. Midoriya asks a fellow student to brainwash him with his quirk, and he does, bringing Midoriya back to the dream and stopping the new power for now. In the dream, he sees a previous successor of One For All who tells Midoriya that One For All is growing, and that he manifested his quirk called Black Whip. He gives Midoriya some tips about the quirk and telling him that he has 6 more quirks to discover and master. Midoriya wakes up, continuing the fight between classes. Then Midoriya uses Black Whip again, this time keeping it in control, but stopping, feeling an immense amount of pain. After, Midoriya doesn't use the power again, winning the match with just the regular powers of One For All. Later, when trying to use the power, Midoriya isn't able to, saying the presence is gone. It then jumps forward again, and the next time we see Midoriya, he is going to an internship at Endeavor's agency with Bakugo and Todoroki. We also see how Midoriya is able to slightly use Black Whip, saying to Endeavor that he needs to learn how to multitask better. He watches Endeavor work, taking mental notes about his multitasking. Later though, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Midoriya all have dinner. Then a villain shows up who Endeavor had previously put in jail, holding one of Endeavor's kids, aka Natsu, hostage, asking Endeavor to kill him for his son's safety. Midoriya and his classmates jump into action, but Endeavor freezes. The villain launches 3 cars into the air, where Midoriya then launches himself up, then using Black Whip to grab them and set them down. All the while, Todoroki and Bakugo stop the villain, capturing him. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that we've got a 3rd channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun what-if stories. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give that channel a visit as well. If you are interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner, or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. When coming back to the school, we see Midoriya able to use Black Whip during practice now, starting to gain nearly full control over the power. As well, when coming back, All Might gave Midoriya a notebook with as much information as he could find on the past users of One For All, although he wasn't able to really find much information on any of them. We also learn in this chat that one of his other powers will be Float, which gives him the ability to fly, but we don't know how the power will work or even its capabilities. As of writing this, Midoriya and the rest of the class of 1A are a part of a raid on the Paranormal Liberation Front and their headquarters. That's all the story we have up to the time of making this, so let's go over what One For All can do now. One For All gives the user superhuman reflexes, speed, strength, durability, and a whip that has an unknown amount of strength behind it. Another thing that is shown, at least in All Might's case, is when he hears people in trouble, his power becomes more powerful, possibly because of the sentience of the quirk. The ability to pass on the power to someone else containing Black Whip, Float, and the 4 other unknown quirks that we are yet to learn. This sentience and other abilities in the quirk also are sort of remnants of the past user's will, because every time someone uses the quirk, they have to use their will to use it. The users of One For All also have super moves that are named after various different American states. The super moves that we see is California Smash, All Might's attack with a frontal somersault leading into a downward punch. This move was first used against a villain while he was studying abroad in the United States. Carolina Smash is when All Might runs towards an enemy while keeping his hands in a cross position, then in a downwards cross chop to the enemy's head. Detroit Smash is when All Might performs the same attack as Texas Smash, except this move is with a downward punch instead of a straight punch. The punch is powerful enough to create a shockwave large and powerful enough to clear the weather. Midoriya also uses this move. Side note, this move is first used to save Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo from the sludge villain. The Missouri Smash is when All Might runs towards an enemy while keeping his hand flat and hits the enemy on the head while running past them. For Nebraska Smash, while All Might is throwing a punch, he rotates his arm to create a tornado. New Hampshire Smash is when All Might blasts himself towards his enemy and smashes his body into the enemy, crushing and injuring the enemy with his great weight. Oklahoma Smash is a move where All Might whirls around while his enemies have latched onto him, spinning with enough force that when they are released, they are easily thrown through concrete. Texas Smash is when All Might throws a right punch with enough force that the wind pressure sends most things flying away. United States of Smash, which is All Might's final and strongest move, is when he uses the last remnants of One For All left in him. All Might delivers a massive punch with enough force to reverberate shockwaves. Midoriya's super moves include the Delaware Smash, where Midoriya flicks his finger to create a powerful shockwave. Doing this fractures said finger, limiting the number of times he can use this move without gravely injuring himself to 10 times. For this, he also uses this to launch himself with compressed air, with the aid of his support item gloves. Then there was Full Cowl, where Midoriya spreads the power throughout his body. He later makes a variation of this, for when he is worried about his arms, calling it Shoot Style. As well, he uses various different percentages of power in Full Cowl. While using Shoot Style, he also has the St. Louis Smash, where Midoriya leaps into the air doing a roundhouse kick to the opponent's face. He also uses the Delaware Detroit Smash, where he has so much adrenaline pumping into him he can push his body even further than usual. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.